be on TikTok motivating people.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, I be trying, bro.
I mean, what kind of things you be telling people to motivate them?
Man, I'm just using my real life experiences, bro. Just using my real life experiences. You know what I mean? And I'm just grateful to have a second chance. You know what I mean? It's like a comeback story, bro. It's like your favorite comeback story or any comeback story for that matter. Everybody loves a good comeback story, bro. A bounce back story. You know what I mean? Second chance. Feel me? Because you get
Yeah,
counted out. A lot of people get counted out, but to see somebody who was counted out and come back and make something of themselves in a positive way, it just hit different, bro. So I just try to keep it like that. It could be anybody. Anybody could change, or it don't matter where you at in your life, what struggles you may be going through, you can overcome it and bounce back from
yeah, you're right about that. And the thing about it, when you're in prison, like you're forced. Well, I'm not saying you're forced to be motivated, but it motivates you. You know what I'm saying, to want to do better. And getting
it.
out,
Sure.
I think some people take advantage. I mean, not take advantage, but they're not motivated enough to get out and do stuff. You know what I mean? They stay stuck because they're overthinking it. Some
Right.
people want to be fit. They want to have a nice body and stuff. They want to be able to go to the beach, go to the club, and do stuff like that. But they're not motivated enough. They sit on the couch all day, or so you just gotta want to do it for yourself. You gotta want to do it.
Facts. Facts.
See, in prison, you're kind of forced to. It's survival in there. You're not doing it to look good. You're doing it to be in shape because you don't want to get into it with somebody that's fit, and then he's wearing you out. Like he's whooping your ass all across the pod, and you sitting there, you sluggish
Right.
and stuff. It's not going to go good.
Right. Nah, for real. I know that's one of the main reasons why I started working out. I was 15 when I got incarcerated. So, and then they was telling me early on that I was going to be spending the rest of my life in prison. The guards was. So early on, I was, preparing myself physically to be prepared for, you know, when I turned 18 and went to the grown pod. Because, when you turn grown, it hit different. When you grown, that strength hit different. So you got to be prepared
Yeah,
for any altercations that you may get into or anything. So early on, from the age of 15 to 18, I was working out every day like a madman, bro.
yeah. Especially like if you're in an organization or a gang in there, they're going to force you to work out. They're gonna have things like mandatory yard. You might be depressed, want to sit in your bed all day. They're gonna come to your cell. They're gonna be like, "Nah, get up, you going." And if
Mm,
you don't go, if you're out there, if you're not out there, and they're like, "Hey, where's Red Dot at?" I'm just throwing a name out there. Where's Red Dot at? Oh, he's sleeping in the cell. They might DP you, and that's basically a punishment. You know what I'm saying?
right. Yeah, nah, for
Well,
real.
that comment, crazy. I don't know. So you said comment. I like men, so I would be in heaven when I go inside. That's crazy because I ain't gonna lie. Like even people like that, they have a bad time in there. Prisons it's horrible.
It
Anybody can get
is.
into it at any time. And that's one thing about it. I did an interview with somebody that was trans, right? And it's not like what you think about it. Go in there, you're gonna have drama, relationship problems. People, you gonna have men fighting over you. Like literally, you're gonna become property.
Right. And then you might lose family, loved ones on the inside while you away.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's what happened to me. I didn't when I went in there, I didn't have all these tattoos. Man, my grandparents they died, and that got me soul in my feelings, man. I'm telling you, I was depressed. Like
Right.
I didn't want to get out of my cell. I wasn't eating none of my trays or nothing. I was so depressed because I felt like I failed, like I was a failure. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't be out there to help anybody. I couldn't be out there to say goodbye. I couldn't be out there for nothing. My dad ended up coming to jail, and I couldn't. You can't help anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Facts.
Especially
Facts.
the feeling you call home and you're talking to your family and they're sitting there telling you about, oh, we got all these bills, and but you're asking for money for food and stuff. But we got all these bills, and you're like, damn, they're telling me about all these problems, and I can't help out. That makes you feel less
Nah,
of a
facts,
man.
bro. Nah, facts. Yeah, prison ain't where it's at, bro. That's why I be trying to tell people all the time, bro. Like, especially the younger ones, that's being misled early on. Like, you feel me? Like, you think it's cool because everything that they promoting, the music they promoting, the lifestyle that they promoting. So it seemed like if you're not living that type of lifestyle, that you a lame, or you know what I
Yeah,
mean, whatever. But I'm telling you, once you inside that cell, man, all that stuff go out the window, bro. Cause everything you doing all of it for, everybody you trying to, uh, paint this picture for, they not gonna be there. They not gonna be nowhere around.
yeah. You know what? That you say that. You know, the people that you're trying to impress and stuff like that. Yeah, they're not. But you can feel like you're a failure, but you can always come back. You can always improve yourself. I don't care what anybody says. People can change.
Nah,
You
people
gotta want to
change.
change for yourself. Don't be thinking about what other people think, man.
Nah, facts. And
But
that's one
I
thing
know
that's helped
like
me.
go ahead.
Nah, that's one thing that's helped me since I've been home from prison was, just like stop caring. But I feel like that process started when I was incarcerated. Like stop like caring so much about what everybody thinking. You feel me? Because like I said, when I was in there, I wasn't hearing from nobody or seeing nobody anyway. So it made it easier for me to not care about what people felt and thought when I came home. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they
That's
wasn't there when I needed them the most anyways.
yeah. I've had people like that. You be in there and you try to call them over and over, and they don't pick up the phone. After all them years, you get out, and then they want to call you and be like, "Hey, how you been?" I'm like, "What, really?"
But a lot of times we fall back into that cycle, and we do accept these people because a lot of times these same individuals are our family and friends. So we
I'm
do
always hiding
accept
my
them back
forehead.
into our life. You know what I mean? Even if it's not for the betterment of you personally.
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing. You know what I noticed? Like when I was in there, I was always working out and stuff. Man, I was in shape. Man, since I've been out for like this last year and like 7 months, man, I done fell off. I don't work out no more. I was at first, but I ain't gonna lie, I got a little lazy. I need to get back in my routine.
Right. And that's exactly what I mean by like, when you come home, you gotta put yourself first, bro, because when you was away, you was doing things that really benefited you and was really good for you. You know what I mean? But now you home, you worried about everything else, everybody else, and you pushing what matters the most to the side. But you gotta still be maintaining those little habits that you built for yourself, cause that's what keep you going. You know what I mean? That's what's
Yeah,
better for you. Like, so even after I've been home 4 years now, I still make sure that I maintain like the little things like working out and taking care of my hygiene. Like, because when you in, it's different. It's different when you in prison. You go in on a hygiene. You don't just brush your teeth, wash your face, and that's it. Nah, you'll do a deep cleanse on your
yeah,
face. You
yep.
flossing your teeth. You taking all your vitamins. You
Man,
drinking tons of water. You know what I mean? Like these is habits that you created while you was away. But when you come home, you stop doing these things. Like why? Like nah, you got to still be
I still
maintaining
brush my
these
teeth
habits.
now. I still brush my teeth.
Brush your teeth for sure, but you probably don't floss.
Nah, I don't. Yo, I ain't gonna
See what
lie.
I'm saying?
Yo, I used to have a habit. Yo, I used to be brushing my teeth all day in the cell. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I already know because I was in there too, so I already know.
Yeah.
I already know.
You,
Know what I
you just
mean? And
want to
these is just things
you want to
because we
make sure
just be bored and you
yourself
don't got
better.
nothing else to do,
Yeah,
and you be
that
trying to
too.
make yourself better while you in there. But but when you out here, like you'll start slacking on certain things, and like like I'm a firm believer in, routine, bro. Like since I've been home, I've kept up that routine though. Like I
Yeah.
didn't lose out. Like I didn't lose the routine. I kept the routine. I feel like the routine really saved my life.
Yo, why do you think inmates become obsessed with fitness?
Because it's really a mental thing. It has nothing to do with the physical. It's more mental. Working out helps with stress. It helps with depression, anxiety. All of these things. So men a lot of times work out in prison, bro. It helps with anger. You know what I mean? Just release stress. It's a big stress reliever. So people work out for stress relief. And just take some weight off their man, off their shoulders. I know that was one of the main things I worked out for when I was in prison, just to kind of just, instead of punching on somebody, I would just, work out and go hard on a workout. Like,
Yeah, this ain't really an interview. I already had 7 Up on the channel. We just come on here talking about stuff, but he was locked up for first degree murder.
yeah. But then I ended up, like, what's it called when they take the, like, your initial indictment and then they give you a lesser charge. Like
Oh, they
basically
gave you
I play it
yeah,
out to a lesser charge of
yeah.
manslaughter.
How much time did you do again?
I did 13 years.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
I
I
was I
remember you.
was sentenced
13
to
years now. Yeah, that's what it was.
yeah,
13 years.
I got sentenced to 10 years for the involuntary manslaughter and then 3 for the spec for the weapon.
You was in there. You was in juvie. You did it. You was in there young.
Yeah, I started off in juvenile, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think?
And I
Did you
feel
feel
like
yourself becoming in how you say? I can't pronounce the word. Institutionalized.
institutionalized.
Yeah.
Nah, never feeling like I was institutionalized. I despised every single day I was in there. I lost my mom in there pretty early, fresh 18 to be exact. So, every day was just, horrible for me. But, I survived and, I did whatever, I had to do in order to make it out of there alive for real.
Is that your
But,
mugshot behind
you
you?
know, yeah, this was, yeah, one of them.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Do the years go by fast?
no, no, they drag very slow. Yeah, yeah, they
Somebody wants to
drag back
know.
very slow.
Christopher Roach wants to know what was the food like in juvie.
It was horrible still, but in juvenile they did give us like a little bit more, um, like snacks and things like that because we was underage. So like by law they had to feed us a little bit more, but it wasn't that much more than they fed the adults. But you would get like an evening meal. Like throughout the day, they would give you an extra peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know what I mean? And a juice or
Yeah.
something like that.
Uh,
It's nothing
Red Onion
serious.
is a
You know what
maximum
I mean?
security prison. Yeah, they'll give y'all snacks and shit in there.
Yeah, snack bags like with a peanut butter jelly sandwich and a pack of crackers or something like that. Nothing serious. But they was
Oh yeah.
they was obligated to do that just because we was underage and by law we still growing boys, so they had to give us a little bit more. And
Somebody
so they thought
oh, go ahead.
a peanut butter snack bag and a peanut butter jelly sandwich would be the 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 protein, our source of protein.
Somebody asked how often did people get shanked, or did you see in there?
I actually witnessed somebody get shanked as soon as I turned 18.
Would they die?
Yeah. They didn't. Nah, they didn't.
Yo, I seen somebody get stabbed up my first day in prison, and that freaked me out. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to get the hell out of there. I was in quarantine, and I was in there with my cellie. He was a white guy. I didn't know anybody, and they called for chow, and the quarantine people they stuck in their cell. You can't get out. So we went to the back of the cell, and we were looking out the window, and we see everybody pouring out the building, and everybody's in a white t-shirt, gray sweatpants, and we watching them go down the sidewalk, go down to the chow area, and we just see big groups of people. You can tell they're gang. Because it's group
Right.
of people grouped up, and we just see
Right.
two groups kind of like converging, but they start tussling. You see them, and it looked like
Yeah.
somebody ran up and threw Kool-Aid all over this guy. Man, he ran out in the grass because that's one rule you got in prison. You're never supposed to go in the grass. You gotta be on
Right.
the sidewalk at all times. If you're in the grass, then the see automatically gonna know something's wrong.
Oh, bruh.
Huh?
Nah, for real.
Yeah. Was it the same way where you when you was in prison?
Yeah, hell yeah, it was.
Did he cook in his cell? Yeah, everybody cooks
Yeah.
in their cell. Did you cook in your cell?
Yeah, I did used to cook in myself. Yeah, yeah. But like I said though, I wasn't in there like having feasts every day, like living it up and stuff like that. Like how everybody makes it seem in the movies and how they come home and make it seem like they was just in there having a good old time.
Hey, it was rough in
I
there. I remember,
I
yo,
was I wasn't
did you
doing
hold
that.
on?
I
Did you
wasn't
ever
doing
have times like this where like you didn't have no food at all, and like you asking somebody for a noodle? You're like, hey, can I get a noodle into store day? Did you ever times like that?
yeah, I ran a store. So
Oh, you were good then.
yeah, I ran a store. So I was selling stuff, setting stuff out every day. I had like when I was fresh 18, I had got me a job in a chow hall, which is the kitchen for everybody who don't know, and I started getting some money, like because I found out that the kitchen was one of the highest paying jobs to have, and plus you can eat inside the kitchen as well. So to me, that was like a win-win. Like I can eat the food up there, I can make my own food while I'm up there, and I get paid the most because they had an incentive. So you would get paid like your normal like $18 a month for working in the kitchen, and then you would get incentive for working up there also, and that was like I guess through the company, and they would pay you an extra $40, just an incentive, and so you would come out with a monthly state check of like 55 $50. You know what I
Hey, that's
mean?
good.
A month. That was slick. Like $50, $60 a month was slick if you in prison. So I would take my 50, $60 that I would get from working in the chow hall for the month, and I took my first check and um I bought like mass noodles, like ramen noodles, packs of coffee, um, little Debbie snacks, like packs of Debbie's, and what else? Like summer sausages. That was like the highest like the most sold items in the commissaries. So I got those items and I just stocked up on them, and I took them back to my cell, and I just resold it to guys for double, triple back on store that. And that's how I would just get my money at first because I didn't have a lot of money coming inside being sent to me when I was 18 from like friends and family on the street. So that's how I would like, make extra income for myself.
Yeah, that's how they do it. You borrow like you can borrow a honey bun, a noodle, and then store that you got to pay back double. You got to pay back two. That's how they're profiting.
Or three. Or
Oh yeah,
three.
all three. It depends. If they don't really know you, they're taking a chance because you could dip out. You can go check in or something. They're taking a
Right.
chance on you, so you might
Right.
have to pay three back.
Yeah.
But that's where
It depends
situations
when we
start.
gotta go to the store again, you know what I mean? Like if I gotta wait
Yeah,
a month until we go back to the store, it's gonna be, it might be four.
Yeah, they got candy bars and sodas in there. I mean, but they're like you go to the gas station, you pay probably pay like 250 for a soda. In there, you're gonna pay like what's
Right.
it like 350? It's up higher.
Four, yeah.
Like
It's
even
high.
a noodle,
Everything's high.
yeah, one noodle, one little pack of noodles, it's like 50 cents.
Yeah, now, yeah, it's like 50 cent now. Yeah. When I first went in, I remember it was like 20 cents a pack.
What the, yo, this chat, wow, man.
You know, chat always wild, man. I love the
Yeah,
chat, man.
yeah. Hey, that one got me. He said, hey, "Stop looking at us like your girl." What the?
You know, they love trolling. I love the chat. I love the chat, man.
Hey, I got a story though. I remember when I was in jail. I don't tell me if you can relate to this. You know, this mental health lady, she used to come in like every other day, and she'd come in the morning and she'd go to people that take meds and stuff. You know, that's on mental health, and she would ask them. She would like ask them questions. She was like, "How's your day been?" She was like, "You got any problems with your medication or anything?" Trying to like basically see how the mental health is. Man, tell me why she would wear. They should have a dress code or something. Cause you in a pod with nothing but male inmates, like guys that been in there for years, and she come in there with these tight pants on, like tight that shows everything, right? And you know she does it on purpose,
Yeah,
right? So all these guys are like
right.
obsessed with her. Man, you see, she be on the floor. You see everybody in their cell window. And you know what they're doing? They gunning.
Right,
You know what they're gunning.
right,
So you had one
right.
guy, he got out and he stayed in the parking lot and he waited for her to come out and he ran up to her and he was like, trying to get her to like be his girl and stuff. Man, she went in there and told the
What?
COs they came out there and arrested his ass and took him in there.
Hey, no, it's so funny though. Look, cause so I was on TT one day, TikTok, and uh, a guard comes in my live, and it's a female guard, and she tells me that she works at a prison. Like currently, she's like actively working as a guard, and she's telling me that she is having a relationship with an inmate on TikTok,
Bro.
and she's saying that she said that she's scared because he's about to be released. And so she's like scared thinking that this situation is going to happen to her when he's released.
Man, I ain't gonna lie.
So
That
she's
kind of
asking
thing
me
is
for advice.
dangerous. You know, that kind of thing is dangerous, because most of these guys, you got a lot of guys that they got cell phones and they in jail and they be getting on TikTok and basically they be trying to, get girls so they can get money and stuff from them. But when they get out, they probably ain't even gonna mess with half of them. You know what I'm saying? They just telling you what
Right.
you want to hear. You know, I guess it goes
That's
both
a
ways
fact.
because some people just want to be able to talk to somebody. They know that the relationship ain't really gonna go anywhere, but they just is like the idea of it. But I would
Facts.
not send them nothing really because you don't want somebody just to feel like they're using you up.
Right. But sometimes people just want to talk to somebody though.
Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes it be mutual.
So I took.
So it just all depend like on that regard,
Yeah.
like as far as
Hey,
tampering
hey, you
goes.
gonna have to put the camera up a little bit.
Say Master Z. Damn, they over there trying to cook me, ain't they?
No, this ain't no TikTok. They will. Yeah, they ain't playing around that. Yo, but when you be on TikTok, like, what do you just be like, just motivating people with your stories and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, but I'm an IRL though, so I do IRL, bro. I do in real life, so whatever I do, they just rocking with it, cause I'm a content creator, so
I know. I
I
seen
make
you on there.
content.
You was doing a food review. You went to a restaurant and you
Chili's.
were you were testing out the food.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, I do IRL. I do just like whatever I do. Like you feel me. But I just allow my community to be a part of it with me. You know what I mean? Because You
Yeah,
know, they alongside me on my journey of transitioning, coming home, adapting, adjusting to society. So, you know, I get a lot of support from my a lot of encouragement, bruh. So, you know, I give them half the credit on why I'm still free today, bruh, because, you know,
yeah.
they encourage me to do the right thing. So, you know, I rock with them and I just be live, just, you know, vibing with them, bruh.
He's out of prison. He's been out for a while, right? Yeah, he be
Yeah,
on
I've been home
TikTok
for
telling the
you.
stories. I did an interview with him. If you guys ain't seen it, check it out. He goes into detail about his charges, what kind of things he's seen in there. But today, I was talking to him on the phone, and we thought we'd just come on and just talk about some prison content, stuff like that. Just this ain't really an interview, just talking. That's it.
Yeah, nah, for sure, bro. And I appreciate you, bro, you know, because uh, I've been trying to just, you know, just link and network with good, solid people out here. So, you know, I definitely
Yeah,
appreciate it, bro.
you you were telling me about that. Sometimes you coach people.
Yeah. Yeah, I just be motivating people, bro. You know, we all need like a community or a mastermind group, as I like to call it. You know what I mean? Just like a group of solid souls or solid people who encourage each other to stay out the way,
I'll be.
keep kind of like keep track of each other's advances, progress, and things like that. So yeah, I built a nice little community of people who, you know, that's what we do.
What are
Yeah.
some
So
habits?
you know,
What what habits from prison actually helped you outside?
um, man. All right. So like one of the biggest ones will probably be, like I said, discipline. Discipline, bro. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta have that, bro. You gotta have that discipline, bro.
Yeah, I remember when I first went in, I didn't have respect, I didn't have discipline, and I really didn't have patience. But yeah, you gather all that while you're in there. It would teach you all that.
Yeah.
With discipline, you're in the cell. You never know who you're gonna be in the cell with. You know, and nobody's gonna be in the cell with you if you ain't getting in the shower, or if you got the cell looking messed up.
Right. But then
And
again, like I don't like you can't just say it like that. Like say it like, you know, prison gonna teach you that, because prison not gonna teach you that.
yeah, I
Like,
mean, you gotta
and
teach
that's why I
yourself
be
that.
trying
But
to get people to you gotta really teach yourself that. Like, and I want to clarify that, like, because a lot of people think like that prison is some magic place. Like you just automatically go to prison, you're gonna be sharp when you come home. No, you're not. It's a lot of goofy people that's been in prison. They come home, they still goofy.
yeah,
It's a lot of
that's
people
right.
that
You're
don't
right
learn
about
their
that.
lesson.
The thing is, when you go in there, you're gonna go through certain events that's gonna teach you, you know, certain events.
You gotta really lock in, bro. Yeah, you gotta really lock in on what you want to do for real.
Yeah,
And once you make that decision, you gotta just you gotta just lock in, bro.
yeah. Most
Like,
people,
and can't let
it's a revolving door to them. But that's all they know. That's why I think, like, they should have more programs and stuff in there. Like, if you taught somebody how to weld or like how to lay bricks or something, they wouldn't have to steal.
right.
They wouldn't have to scam.
But you gotta teach yourself that sometimes though, bro. Like when I was in a joint, like I literally had to teach myself everything I know, bro. Like I ain't had no big homies in there or nothing, bro. Like I was young, bro. So I just looked around and I saw like what my life could be. I looked around and I seen what my bid could turn out like. You feel me? Like if I didn't
Yeah,
like take control of it. You feel me? So I
yeah.
had to
You
like get
remember?
my head in them books. I
You
had
remember seeing
I
those?
had to work out every day.
You remember seeing those like 50-year-old
Cause I
dudes in
like I
there?
ain't gonna lie.
They still,
When,
huh?
like when I first started working out, bro, I wasn't in no workout group. I wasn't in no like you said, like how the gang members they was having somebody come and wake them up and make them work out with them and stuff like that. I ain't had none of that, bro. I had to wake myself up every day and tell myself, hit that yard, bruh. Work out, bruh. Feel me? I had to wake up myself every day and tell myself, nigga, go to school, get that GED, get your head in them books. You can't leave prison, you ain't got your GED, fam. I had to lock in and do that. But I was looking around, I'm seeing guys, they not taking their time as serious as I am. They not they not worried about no GED. They not worried about they fitness or getting a man right. They not worried about none of that stuff. Better they not worried about none of that stuff. They worried about how to how to get packed through over the fence. They worried about how they gonna talk their baby mama in and bring that pack in at the next visit. That's what they was worried about.
Prince
You
Marky
feel me?
D.
They weren't worried about
I don't look like that.
they weren't trying to worry, they weren't worried about trying to advance. They
Get out of
they trying to plan, plot, and strategize on more ways on how to be better criminals, basically. You feel me?
here. Yeah, you right about
But
that.
so that's why I say like like you like it's really up to you, bruh. It's really up to you. Like what you do with your time. Like you know what I mean? And I just made that decision when I was in there. Like, all right, I don't want this, I don't want that. I want to live a different type of life. When I get out of here, when I get myself free, I want to do things different. So I started reading books on how to invest, on how to be a better leader, how to be a better, you feel me? Like spiritual books. I read books on spiritual. I read books on finance. I read books on self-development. I read books on history. I read books on a wide variety of things, bro. Just really just locking in, bro. You feel me? Like,
Yeah.
but that's just because that's what I wanted.
Well, didn't you say you were running an organization in there?
Yeah, I was when I was 17.
That's why you ain't had nobody coming to wake you up.
Yeah, I was the person that was, waking everybody up and everything like that. But that's why I was disciplined. You know what I mean? Like I had that discipline. I could be the leader. You feel me? I had the discipline to be the leader. Like, but I had acquired that very early because I just put it in my head like that. Like I didn't want to be running up under nobody else. You feel me? I didn't want to be giving no orders from nobody else. Feel me? So I had
Yeah.
to give myself orders. I had to give myself discipline. I had to give myself these strict things because I didn't like when the COs told me to wake up. So by the time the guards was banging on the door telling us to wake up, I was already fully clothed. I'm already sitting on my rack already, bed already made. I'm ready to rock. So the CO can't bang on my door telling me to wake up with no flashlight all in my face because I hated that. I'm already up, teeth brushed, I'm ready. So by the time he come in there with the light bright as hell, I'm already up, fam. You ain't got to bang on my door. And they like, damn, this dude's different. And they get to just skip past my door and they bang on the next dude's door. You feel me? So I would
Yeah.
just prepare myself for every little thing where it could be a problem. I was already prepared for it. Like, okay,
Yeah, I remember times in there, I remember the CEO used to come around, and sometimes you got an asshole CEO. They might have had a bad day at the house or whatever, and they come around and they go through everybody's door and they trying to nitpick anything they can see wrong. Because we used to have it to where we had the window open in the back, and you like there's no shades or nothing. Like you just got sun going straight into your cell. So a lot of people they will take pages out of books and they will put it in the window to make it a little bit darker because you don't want your cell lit up. You know what I'm saying? And there'll be some CEOs that come around and be like, take all that stuff out the window, or you going to the hole. Take it all, or I'm writing you up. You're like, dang, is it bothering you that much? They didn't have to do that, but
Hey, I just seen Tater Tot in the chat. What's up with the Tater Tot? She one of your supporters. She came over there and was showing me love too, man. Appreciate you for the love, y'all. Appreciate everybody who came over from Bruh channel and came on my channel and was showing love. Appreciate y'all for sure.
yeah, this ain't an interview or something. We're just just talking about some prison stuff. But yeah, motivation, finding the time to motivate yourself to do stuff. It's a big thing.
Slim and shit said he definitely had a big homie. I definitely ain't had no big homie. I was the big homie, bruh.
Yo, that's what I was wondering. When I was interviewing you, what like coming home, like you missed out on a whole bunch of things. Like coming home and having all the new technology. How's that working out for you?
It's an adjustment, bruh. Just like everything else, bruh, that I've been, faced with since I've been home, bruh. It's an adjustment, but I can't say by the grace of God, I'm dealing with it all good, bruh. All good.
I remember when I came home, I went to a restaurant, and back in the days, you used to have it where you got your cup and you just put it in front of the thing, and the soda comes out, right? It's got Coke, Sprite, whatever. Now they got like at McDonald's, they got these fancy machines. They're like computers, almost looking like they got touch screen. And I'm like, I don't even know how to use this shit. Sitting there looking dumb.
Nah, for real, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so like when I was growing up, like
Sweet coffee.
uh, I
Some
was very
material and
internet
then
savvy,
ask
like,
them
that
in
was my
return.
generation. Like
That is a coffee bomb.
internet just had
So
touched. So I feel like, when I came home, I just fell right back in line with the whole internet wave. It didn't really take me long to, adapt to things. Um, Another thing that I was very grateful for was when I was away, I took advantage of a lot of things like newspapers, magazines. Like I would go to to the library and I would read the magazines like the daily inquirers, or the entertainment weeklies, and just any magazine that you could think of. I would read it, just to stay updated on everything, like the news or any new technology or any new type of just progression that they was having in society. I wanted to stay up to date on everything, so when I came home, I wasn't too far behind with everything. You know what I mean? And it did help. It helped out a lot because I was already aware of a lot of things, like apps that was being used already. I was up to date on a lot of hot topics, trending things that was taking place. I was already familiar with them because I was already staying up to date on it when I was behind a wall, for this reason, because I wanted to come home and be ahead of the game and not behind the eight ball.
yeah, that's one thing I used to try to stay up to date too. We had tablets in there, and it's only got a certain amount of things on the tablet, but they had a section on there where you can watch or you can read the news, and they had a part in there TMZ. I remember that, and like you hear about all the things going out in the world right now. But I remember like hearing about like the wars and stuff that was starting, like the Ukraine war. That was scary because if a war
Right.
starts and you locked up, anything can happen.
Right.
Did you ever
Nah, facts. And we the
hear
first
about
ones.
this? There was a rumor, right? And they said if a war happened, they're not going to let the inmates out of their cells. They can't do that. So they would euthanize inmates. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was a fear of mine. Hearing that,
Nah, they gonna make us fight, bro.
what do you
They
mean
gonna
gonna
make
make
us
us
fight.
fight?
We gonna be the first ones that they gonna have to. That's gonna have to
Oh, you
be
talking
on the
about fighting
front
the
line.
war? Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I heard that they're doing that with Russia right now. They're basically sending them on the missions and stuff. Basically like
Yeah, the
missions
prisoners.
where you ain't
Yeah, the
coming back.
prisoners. In California, they got the prisoners in California. They the ones who go out and fight the fires.
For real?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a TV show about that? Wasn't it called like Yellowstone or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but nah, that's a real thing though. They got the inmates in California. They go out and fight the fires.
I didn't know that. I seen a TV
Yeah,
show about it, but I just thought it was, I didn't know it was real. I didn't know it was based on real facts.
yeah.
The usual suspects. Is that it?
Look, Bushmaster knew what you was talking about.
Oh yeah. You can have some people in there that are cool that will give you like a shot of coffee or something. Everybody isn't like, it depends on the person. Everybody's not on that type of time. But I'm just saying it because you got people that are on that type of time, especially people that run stores. I'm telling you, they are already like, if they give you something, they already got it in their head. They're going to have to make an example out of you. But you got some cool people that like you. If you ain't got a coffee shop, they'll look out for you. And if you don't pay them back or whatever, they'll just it won't be a big deal to them because they're just looking out for you. But
I
the
remember
people
I
that
had to
ain't
make
got
an
nothing,
example. I had to make an example out of somebody who owed me from the store. I had gave him some stuff, and he owed me like $50 in commissary. Yeah, and he didn't have it, and I let it pass for like one store day. I let it pass. Like he didn't have it the first store day, so I was like, all right, cool. He normally be having good money, so I was like, you know what I mean, gave him a break. But then the next store they come around and he still ain't have my money. I wasn't going. I took his TV as collateral until he until he gave me my
oh,
money.
how'd you do that? Would you just walk in the cell and be like, I'm taking a TV?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you
Yep.
did?
Yep.
What'd he do? He didn't do nothing.
Nah, he ain't do nothing.
Yes, he couldn't because he owed
I
you.
mean, yeah, he owed me, and I mean, at this time, I mean, I probably would have punched his lights out, but
I
but
mean, what?
he
Why'd
owed.
you? I want you to bring the viewers inside your mind. Why'd you feel like you had to go in there and do that? Because in your mind, did you feel like everybody else was gonna start playing with you,
Um, I mean, it was just because, like, yeah, yeah,
or you
you
felt
just
played?
when you in prison, you can't. Yeah, when you in prison, you can't let nothing slide. you know like you could it gotta be like a respect thing, like all right, like because I'm very understanding, like I'm a very understanding person. Like I said, I had already let it go one store that I already let them, you feel me? So I'm very understanding. I know how it goes. Like I know, issues happen sometimes. Your money be late, you don't, she might not have had it last week or whatever the case is, but at the same time, I didn't have it to give you like that. Like this is my livelihood. Like this store, this is how I'm eating every week. So if you don't give me what you owe me, I'm gonna have to be compensated in some type of way. And if you don't have the food, that's cool. Just give me your TV and I sell the TV and I get $50 worth of food. And that's just how we're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's
So
that's how it is.
everybody, you know what I mean? Because you can't come and get something from somebody and you can't give it back. That's like going to a loan shark saying, "Let me owe some money, borrow some money," and then when it's time to pay them back, what do you think? What do you think? No,
Yeah, I mean,
they need that money.
it's kind of like people that work on houses or whatever. You pay them, and then they never come and work on your house. I mean, you gonna be mad and upset, right? It's the same thing, but in there, we're inmates, so like we're talking about commissary. We're talking about noodles and chips and stuff. But in there, that's a big deal because that's our life. So for somebody hearing it on the outside, it sounds crazy to them. But did, did you mute yourself? I can't hear you.
Oh, I did mute myself. Yeah, but like when you in prison, and if you don't have somebody sending you money, so you can't eat. This is the only way that the only source of income that you have to eat.
Yeah, that's why everybody got a prison hustle. You got some people in there doing tattoos. I did a couple tattoos myself. I'm not. I wouldn't say I was the best. Like, let me think of. Let me see one that I did. Hey, look, this is my
Hey,
first
I
tattoo
want
I ever did. Look, this one right here. Hold on, hold on. Let me take off this green screen. Shit.
you was doing your tattoos.
Some you see that Jason mask, the hockey mask.
Yeah,
That was the first tattoo that I tried to do in there.
that's crazy. That's where my homie from. My homie from Jason Block. It's a block out here named Jason, and that's they sign. That's they symbol. Is the Jason mask.
What is it, like a gang or something?
It's a neighborhood.
Oh, so
Yeah, you
basically
know
like a gang.
out here. Yeah, but in my city, we don't gang bang. We just rep neighborhoods.
Where you at again?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we just rep neighborhoods real hard.
So what's Ohio like? Like, is it like city life down there? Is it country? How would you describe it?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. Like you could find it's city life, and it's like cool, laid back suburbs, country. It's a little bit of country. It's a lot of land out here in some places. In some places, it's more city, more urban. You know.
I ain't gonna lie. If Ohio is like Epstein's Island, I don't want to go because I heard some crazy things about that. I ain't gonna lie. Though that's a crazy story. I ain't gonna lie. That whole situation right there about the islands and about underage people and human sacrifices and all that crazy stuff. I sometimes I don't be thinking that stuff's real, but I don't know, man.
Ohio, cool, bro. It ain't nothing wrong with Ohio.
I I I've been out to Oklahoma, and they call that like Tornado Alley. Man, I remember I was scared because they be having like the big tornadoes, F5s and all that out there. Man,
Yeah,
but
we
I,
don't
I
be
I
having
grew
that.
up
Only thing we
I
be
grew
having.
up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Maryland, and it's more like city life up here.
Shout out to
Not like New York City, probably like kind of like Washington D.C. kind of city life.
right. Shout out to shout out to Indiana. Shout out to North Carolina too.
You been out there?
North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah, I
I
used to
got
live in
13
Charlotte.
I got 13 brothers and sisters, right? And half of them they stay out there in North Carolina, and
Yeah, I used to
I
live in
want to go out
Charlotte.
there and visit them. Yeah, it's nice out there. Charlotte,
I spent
yeah, Charlotte's nice.
I spent 4 years out there.
What part?
Charlotte.
Oh, oh yeah, you did say that. Did you ever go to like Sanford,
What's that?
city out there?
Nope.
You were never out that way, like Fayetteville. Uh,
I think I've been to Fayetteville maybe once or something. I can't really remember, but I know I
It's
was
on
in
it's next to like
I
the
went to Myrtle
military
Beach
base.
though. Oh, I think I went there. I think I did go there. I think I did go out there for like a school vacation, something like that, like a school
Yeah,
trip.
you been to Myrtle Beach?
Cause they got yeah, I've been to Myrtle Beach. Yeah,
Look, I went out there, right? And they got this what do you call it? It's a ride out there on the boardwalk. You get in it and they like shoot you up in the air like a slingshot, right? And they got like a camera in your face. So, and they got a big screen TV on the sidewalk. So everybody walking around, they just see your face, getting slingshot up. Man, I ain't gonna lie, that was crazy.
yeah, nah, for sure, nah, for sure.
Did you ever stop at that one place? What's it, south of the border? It's a pit stop. Like it's got like a Mexican advertised logo. You know what I'm talking about? It's called South of the Border.
I, I can't. Nope.
Yo, I ain't gonna
Nope.
lie, I had
I
fun out
ain't.
there. I went to a Dolly Parton. They had a play out there. Like it was kind of like the Pirates of the Caribbean or something. And basically, it's like a big
Yeah.
stadium. You sit down, and they're dressed up like
Yeah.
pirates and stuff. The staff is. They come around, and they're like pretending to be pirates, and they're asking what you want. And in the middle, they got like it's water. It's a stage. It's got water.
Yeah.
It's two ships, and they put on a show. They got
Yeah.
birds flying around and stuff. It's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. It's like a food and show kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I ain't hip to it.
I ain't yo, that's it's crazy. I'm telling you, you gotta go.
Hip to that one.
They got the
But
commercials on YouTube.
yeah, man.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see.
Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you. You remember how I was on Jay Williams? He interviewed me, right?
Yeah.
Man, tell me why he invited me back, right? Because Jay Williams was doing that late night live stream thing where he was inviting just random people
Yeah.
that's been on his show. Man, I missed the invite because I was in an interview with the 60 Days In lady, Nadia. Man, I was like, damn, I missed it. What's up with your camera, yo? You chopping? You chopped and screwed over there. I don't know. It might be the background. It might be the green screen making you lag a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why am
It it, it might have been the green screen. You on Wi-Fi?
you saying my own
Yeah,
Wi-Fi?
yeah. Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Yeah.
You. It seemed
Yeah.
like you on like the cellular online or something.
Nah. I think it's. I think I got too much stuff on my phone. Cause it always be doing that. I'm
Oh
surprised it
yeah,
ain't do it.
it would do that too. It would do that if your phone's got enough storage on it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, my bad though. Yeah.
Now you good. Well, hey,
But
it ain't
nah
gonna be
though,
too much
man.
longer.
So
I was gonna go ahead and I got something to do, but tomorrow
oh no,
we should just go live on yours.
nah, you already know, man, for sure, man. Nah, for sure. Yeah, make sure y'all pull up to my YT, man. It's Seven Society TV.
Seven Society, is
You
that
know what
what
I
you call
mean?
your people?
Seven Society.
That's what you call them?
I call them sevens, my sevens.
Man, I need a cool ass name like that. Shit, I don't even know. What can I call my peoples? I don't even know. I gotta look
Shit.
it up.
Yeah,
I need a
you
name
gotta
like
lock.
that.
Yeah, you gotta lock in yeah, for sure. Yeah, my sevens. Yeah, my sevens, man. Seven up, man. They already know we got it. We got some love stuff going on over there. So yeah, seven up in the chat,
Yo, matter of
man.
fact, how did you get that name Seven? Was that your cell number? Your your cell?
Nah, it wasn't. It was it's actually a long story. So like I told y'all, so I started my own organization when I was 17.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So so I kind of started early in prison, like in that regard. Now the only reason why I started my own organization was just because I was already being, propositioned to join a gang, which I declined and I was, cool on. But when I looked around, it took me like almost 2 weeks. But when I looked around, I looked out my window one day of my cell, and I just it was a feeling that just came over me, bruh. Like I ain't gonna lie, it was just a crazy feeling when I looked
Like
out my
surreal?
window, and yeah, yeah, for real. And I looked. and all I seen was just a bunch of kids when I looked
No,
around.
I said so real.
Yeah, it was
Was it a
surreal.
so real? Oh,
Yeah, it was. And and all I seen was just kids, bruh. Like I'm 17 though at this time, but I'm looking out my window. I see kids from the age of 11 to 17, and it just blew me. Like to think that all of us just was in there, just hundreds of kids, like, and nobody cared about us no more. Like they basically had threw us away, bruh. Like, and it made me sad, bruh. To be real, you feel me? And I wanted to give us some hope. I wanted to give my niggas some hope, bro. Like to be just real with you, you feel me? I wanted to give us some hope, bro. Like, and I felt like we had more potential. I felt like these kids had more potential. I felt like we all did to do more, to be more than what they thought we was. And so I started my own organization. You feel me? But you know they label us all as gangs in there in prison. So that's what they labeled us as, a gang. You feel me? But in my eyes, it was more. Like I gathered up a bunch of kids, bruh, and I tried to get them to do better with their life, like, and with their time. Like I encouraged my dudes, my niggas to go to church. I encouraged my niggas to work out. I encouraged my niggas to read. I encourage them to stop fighting, to, stop stealing, stop doing lame stuff. Like, I just start trying to get people to just tighten up, like, because I felt like, bro, we was in there, we was too young to be in there, wasting our life in prison. You feel me? And I knew that when I got out of there, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to to make something on my second chance once I was released, if given that chance. And I was, you feel me? And everybody that I came in contact with that was, a part of my organization when I was young, I run into these guys still to this day. And in real life, in the streets, like come in contact with them. And they always tell me the same thing, bro. How grateful they was to have been a part of what I started, and how they was glad that they met me, bro. And how a lot of the principles that I gave them, how they still live by those principles, and they always was just like very happy, bro, that they came in contact with me. So I was glad that I was able to give them something that they could take away from me, that was more than just prison. You feel me? Like I gave people real life lessons, bro, to live by forever. Like even if they don't never see me again, they could always take some of the principles and lessons that I gave them, just, you feel me, and take it wherever they go in life, bro. So like,
yeah, I can respect it. So y'all were in there. Basically, you started a family. You gave people a purpose. You gave them, you know what I'm saying? That's every. That's what everybody wants. That's what everybody's looking for. A sense of purpose,
right.
belonging.
But to answer your question, like how'd I get the name Seven? So like I started that when I was young, and then when I turned 18, like one of the little homies that I had when I was in juvenile, he turned 18 with me, and he came to the adult prison where I was at, right? And we was walking the yard one day, and I had asked him, I said, what's a number that could signify our loyalty for each other? And he said 6. And I ain't like that. I said, what about 7? And we both agreed on 7. He said he liked 7, and I like 7. I came up with it. You feel me? And
Yeah,
so from that point on, just like 7 was a number that signified our loyalty to one another. You feel me? Like, and then it just grew into something bigger. Like, you feel me?
I can respect it.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow we're gonna go in your pod. I mean, we're gonna go in your channel and have some prison discussions. But I appreciate you coming over and take the time out to chill. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, now what's
But
up with Hot Wingy? That's one of your people's.
I don't know. What's up, Hot Wing?
Hot Wing, I get crazy to chat.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Was he saying crazy stuff? Yo, I ain't gonna lie. Like sometimes I don't even look at the chat no more because there's so many trolls that be coming in here.
Nah, I fuck with it. I ain't tripping.
Nah,
Nah, for sure.
do you got the Yeah, you gotta get some moderators clean up the chat. Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and
Oh,
end it here.
mods. I got mods in my shit. They already know the drill.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. You hear me?
Nah, for sure that, bro. Appreciate you, man, for your time, bro. You already know.
All right. I appreciate everybody for coming and chilling with us for a little bit. Tomorrow we're gonna go on his for a little bit.
Nah, for sure that, man. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure,
stay out
man.
of them
Look
streets.
forward to
Be
seeing
safe.
y'all over there.
Stay out of them streets and be safe, guys. It ain't
Nah,
worth
for
it.
nah, for sure. Stay out on the streets, man. All right, B.